We've been hearing a lot in recent months about merchant shadow fleets. Well, one international watchdog is today warning that the proliferation of these vessels could be fueling a surge in seafarer abandonment, up almost a third in 2025. Now, according to data compiled by the International Transport Workers Federation, 410 crude ships were abandoned last year. That's up 31% on the year before. They carried over 6,200 seafarers, many without pay, provisions or legal protection. And that is up 32%. And these figures are all-time records. Well, this week, in what the BBC understands to be a world first, we've been hearing directly from one shadow fleet seafarer, a senior officer serving on a stranded oil tanker in East Asia, operating under a Gambian false flag, carrying nearly 750,000 barrels of oil. We have obscured the officer's face to protect his identity. The BBC's David Waddell asked him about his ship's situation.
Now we're still a tanker out of port limit, still waiting. Also, we have problem with the salary. It's not transferring more than 2 months. Now we already received for the November and are waiting on this week for December. So feeling is bad. I am already on the board more than 8 months.
So you've been serving on the ship for 8 months, is that
right.
Correct?
I'm serving already 8 months, yes. So before we discussed with the company, it was a little bit difficult operation, and my contract especially is 4 months. So this company asked me to prolong for 1 month only because it was a tank cleaning operation which is required my assistance.
How long have you been working for the company that runs this ship?
In this company I work, this is my first contract, and I hope it's the last contract.
What was your ship's origin? Where did you collect the cargo from, the oil?
We take crude oil. This is from Russia. And proceeding to discharge this east side China.
So the challenge is finding a home, a destination, a buyer for that oil. Is that right? Maybe this is something that's beyond your control.
We still don't know what is the destination is exactly. It was, we are only leaving. We come for one port, other port, and only waiting. No any exactly information from the office come to us.
Tell me, Sarah, about the daily conditions you and your crew are facing day to day.
We have shortage with meat, with grain, with fish, with simple things for surviving. We have shortages, This is effective on our health, on our operational atmosphere. So crew was hungry, crew was angry, and we try to survive only day by day.
What communications do you have with the ship operator?
Our official letters, no one reply. It is also very difficult to us because we don't know what we will expect, what the next provision come, when the salary come, when vessel will go for discharge. So totally quiet, totally silent from the ship operator.
Tell me about your hopes and aspirations. How important is it for you and your crew to leave the ship?
Mostly what I like is fastly to go home, and my crew also, I like to disembark it because all of us have family, all family waiting us, and we already so long time stay here and stuck suffering in this situation.
When hopefully at some point you find yourself back in the world again, what steps will you be able to take to avoid this kind of situation for yourself in future?
Now what I will do for sure is will be proper discussion for condition of vessel, for payment, for provisions, for everything. Anyway, also as resources from internet now, we can see which vessel is banned, which vessel is under sanction.
Okay, let's discuss this now with Stephen Cotton, the General Secretary of the International Transport Workers Federation. Lovely to have you with us, Stephen. First off, why do you think this issue of abandonment is becoming so prevalent?
So first, we have to say our empathy goes out to the seafarer. There are many good shipping companies, but the problem we have is a system that allows the unscrupulous, those that want to profit, to play the system. And that means that the seafarers are the ones that pay. And we can talk a little bit about what we describe as flag of convenience. But the reality for us is abandonment isn't an accident. it's a company that's, in that example, avoiding sanctions, but it's also very poorly kept ships. And as you heard, seafarers don't really know where they're going. They sign a contract, they go to somewhere else in the world, and then they're confronted by lots of different challenges.
Do you think this is, well, I suppose what I want to say is this, how long has this been going on for? Because for many, we're only hearing about this issue now because of this so-called shadow fleet. For how long has this been a problem?
So the ITF's been campaigning against flags of convenience for over 75 years. We campaign because we believe ship owners should have a direct connection to the ships and the register. So what we're seeing here, we didn't anticipate, no disrespect to Gambia, that to be a major maritime country. So the system allows ship owners to put ships wherever they like with no connection. The reality is this has been going on for a long time. The challenge now is with these extraordinary increases is that there is a better reporting system. We're very much part of that, encouraging the seafarers to come forward. There is a lack of transparency and accountability. So those vessels, those owners can abandon the ships, and then tomorrow they could buy another ship and there would be no record and there would be no penalty for them for doing exactly the same. So the challenge is, how do we enforce good standards?
Well, I'm assuming there is some work that's taking place to overcome those challenges. But just getting back to the seafarer that we heard there, what's the likely outcome in terms of his fate and those on board that ship?
So the ITF is determined to help all of the seafarers, and you heard the numbers. The challenge is, can you arrest the ships in the environment where they're abandoned? We've seen a massive growth of abandonments, particularly in Turkey and the UAE. And therefore, we have to then get powers of attorney from the seafarer, take their case to a court, and ultimately, the ships can either be sold as operating ships or as scrap. So the objective is to make sure they get their money back. But the bigger challenge is to make sure flag states, and that means governments, really recognise when they're registering ships, they need to have the clarity about the owner. And then governments, and this goes to the slightly more delicate issue of the shadow fleet, have to blacklist consistent offenders. And perhaps we should mention India, which has been very strong on targeting those that are constantly abandoning seafarers.
Stephen, just my final question. All I'm hearing from yourself, the challenge. Is there any work that's being done to overcome these challenges? What sort of negotiations, discussions are taking place?
So I think it's fair to say that our partners in the industry, the International Chamber of Shipping, represents good ship owners that are respectful. We work with them in the International Labour Organization, which recognise seafarers as key workers. And perhaps the one that's the most important is the International Maritime Organization, which is a government agency, UN agency, where we want them to have more power to enforce the rules on registers and to make sure that those ship owners that abandon human beings all over the world cannot get away with it. So there is a lot going on within the industry. We have the capacity to regulate. We just need to get a message to governments. You must take this seriously, and we must be in a position to protect not only the seafarers themselves, but the industry, the shipping industry that's so critical to all of our economies.
Stephen Carton, General Secretary of the International Transport Workers Federation, thank you for your time.
Thank you.